I gotta admit, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fibs Reacts, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving my review for a very Jonas Christmas movie. Now, as someone who grew up in the early 2000s, obviously I kind of grew up in what I call the heyday, the golden era of Disney Channel. And this was, of course, around the time where the Jonas Brothers were like really at their peak. But of course, the band did eventually break up, but then they came back together around 2019 with their single Sucker. And since they have been back together as a band, they have put out 3 different albums, 4 if you want to count the Christmas soundtrack. They are also going to be starring in Camp Rock 3, which I think will be pretty interesting. So far, I've been to 2 Jonas Brothers shows. Actually, just recently, I went to their Greetings from Your Hometown tour, which was an amazing show. So yeah, I'm a fan of their music, and I think, as a band who, broke up and then came back together, I think it's pretty cool to see that, they still have a pretty loyal fan base and that they still come out with really great music. But enough about that, let's get into their new Christmas movie, a very Jonas Christmas movie. Now, when this was first announced, I was kind of like, what? I don't know, it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I thought it would just kind of be a throwaway movie, maybe a bit of a money grab. I don't know, it just seemed kind of out of the ordinary. I didn't really know, what to expect with this movie. Now, going into it, of course, I'm not expecting a Chris Nolan movie, but I was hoping it was gonna be good and not just like a glorified SNL skit. So I know it sounds goofy to say, but this will be a spoiler-free review of the movie, just in case there are some of you out there who may want to be surprised. So essentially the plot of the movie is pretty simple. Basically, the guys are out on tour and they seem, maybe a bit fed up with each other just because they've been spending so much time together, but they're trying to get home for the holidays. And there's one particular person that Joe ends up meeting along the way who uses his magical powers, basically causing a whole bunch of problems that hinders them from, getting home. But what he's trying to do is, bring them closer together as brothers before they come home for Christmas. So starting off with the acting, Nick obviously, has the most acting experience out of the 3. Just because of his, earlier days on Broadway, which is where he kind of got his start. And then he also has a bit of a recent history in acting, like being in the Jumanji movies. Joe, I think, has done a bit of acting here and there. And then Kevin, really no acting at all. I mean, aside from Camp Rock. All around, I think their acting was fine. I mean, I think it passed for kind of the tone of the movie. There weren't really a whole lot of deep emotional moments in the movie that would call for any kind of, Oscar-worthy performance. There are some other cameos made by certain celebrities in this movie. I won't necessarily say who, just in case you don't want to be spoiled. But one thing I thought was kind of interesting, and I'm probably way overthinking this, but obviously the Jonas Brothers are playing themselves. And there are certain other people in this movie who are playing themselves. But then we have other actors in this movie who we are familiar with who are not playing themselves. So I don't know, that was kind of like a weird paradox for me. I'm like, is this, supposed to be real life or is it not? It was kind of like a weird combination of the two. But again, that's really overthinking it. So as mentioned before, this movie does come with a soundtrack. It is a bit of a movie/musical. There were a lot more songs in this than I originally thought there would be. Some are better than others. I think the 2 that stuck out to me, the 2 that I really like, would be You Make It Feel Like It's Christmas, but they released that song like a couple years ago. And then their newer one, Coming Home This Christmas. Some of the other songs are kind of meh, like I probably could have done without. There's one song towards the beginning of the movie and Joe sings the entire thing. And honestly, it's kind of hard to sit through. It's supposed to be kind of in this like dream sequence that Joe's having. So it does seem a bit over the top. It seems kind of goofy. Also, I noticed some of the lip syncing was off. Joe like completely missed a lyric in one of the scenes for that song. But yeah, overall, I mean, the soundtrack was just kind of there, aside from, you know, the couple songs that I actually did like. There was a scene where they got an Uber, which was really entertaining. That was a really funny scene. I was really shocked at like how good the humor actually was in this movie. I thought it would be, you know, like corny, like Hallmark movie humor. I thought like none of the jokes were gonna land, but I was actually genuinely like chuckling at some of these gags. I thought it was pretty good. Now, over the course of this movie, Joe does run into kind of an old flame, but again, not a real life old flame. It's a made-up old flame for the movie. Anyway, she is played by Chloe Bennett. Now, when I first saw her name come up in the credits, I'm like, Chloe Bennett? Where have I seen that name before? And then I was like, oh yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think those two had really great chemistry. You know, sometimes in movies like this, especially when, you know, you're working with singers who might not necessarily be actors, it can be really hard for them to give, you know, a convincing performance, especially when it comes to something like romantic chemistry. But I think the scenes between Joe and Chloe, I think they had some really great moments, and I truly did, you know, believe it. But yeah, I mean, I can't really get into a lot of the scenes in particular just to avoid spoilers. But overall, I mean, it was just a fun movie. Like, if you're looking for a Christmas movie that you can just, you know, sit down with family or friends and just kind of hang out and have a good time, I mean, this would be a movie for that. There are, you know, moments of humor, you know, there's some kind of action comedy moments, and then you have some emotional moments, you know, especially like between the brothers. It kind of has, you know, some elements of, you know, nostalgia, but overall it's a feel-good movie, and I think that's, you know, the kind of movie people look for, especially around the holidays. So yeah, I gotta say, I mean, this one definitely surprised me. And there you have it, guys. That is my review of A Very Jonas Christmas Movie. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to give the video a like and subscribe. And as always, catch you later. I don't want to spend my summer at some camp. I'm Shane Gray, for crying out loud. Wait a minute. I'm coming home this Christmas.